What's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well. New video today. First of its kind for me on a petrified fish knife. This is, as many of you know, the Victor. Petrified Fish Victor. What a cool knife. This knife is a part of a line or part of the line of petrified fish, where it seems that they just have this thing figured out, where they come up with really cool designs, handles, blade shapes, and whatnot, and they release it or them in really cool micarta scales. So as you can see, this is the blue canvas micarta scales, but they have a lot of really cool models. I was particularly, I don't have many petrified fishes, but I was kind of intrigued by this one for two main reasons. The first is the branding or lack of branding on this clip blade, and just like how that pops. Normally you see, more often than not, if not always, you see branding over here on the blade. And not that that's a bad thing, but I was really impressed by Petrified Fish to not put branding there, because I think that really adds to this look of this blade. I think like it's a really a standout blade. Really, it's like kind of like a statement piece in a sense, because you have this really cool clip point buoy shaped blade with nothing here. And so it just kind of looks mean but beautiful at the same time. I really dug that from the moment I saw it. And the other cool thing is there's no thumb studs either on this side, which kind of like lends itself to this beautiful and unique buoy blade. I mean, the idea of a buoy blade obviously isn't, or buoy shape isn't unique, but on a folder like this with no thumb stud, with no branding, I thought that was really great. And here we have just a little cutout there for, I'm sure you guessed it, the finger flick. I love the finger flick. It is like my favorite way of opening a knife, if I can do it. If the action is such that it'll allow me to do it, you know, without like really kind of annoying my fingers. And if the placement of whatever it is my finger catches on is there. So I just thought that they really nailed it with this, because not only is there no thumb stud, there's no branding on the mark side of the blade, on the show side rather, but there's a finger flick cut out, and of course you have the front flipper as well. So I just was really intrigued by this whole thing. Isn't that cool? Just neat action, really nice action. I will say, when I got this thing, I had to tinker with the pivot a lot, actually, which I don't know. I've watched a fair bit of reviews on these knives. I don't know if I've really seen a lot of people comment on this, but maybe I'm wrong. But I really had to mess with the pivot, because the centering was off. Like, I got the centering now perfect. I did that myself though, and the pivot just kept on coming loose. I know that's not a problem unique to petrified fish, but I wasn't super impressed with that. I mean, obviously the solution is you have to Loctite it. And so I took the thing apart, I cleaned it, I Loctited it, and now it's fine. But for a while the centering was off and the action was a little bit wonky. You know, because the action on these knives are so amazing, and part of that is because the pivot just comes to you very, very loose. But it's not really fair to say entirely, because now, as I'm showing here, I mean, the pivot is nice and tight now, or at least as tight as it needs to be with the Loctite in there, for the centering to be pretty much dead on, and the action still to be like drop close perfect. I mean, look at that. So, I mean, this action is beautiful now. Really beautiful. Perfect. There's a little bit of resistance, a little bit. You know, you have to overcome that ball detent in there. If you can see that. I don't know if you can see it in there, but you know, there you can see it just in there. You overcome that detent, and it's just enough. So it's nice. It's not coming out. It's not coming out or undone. So the detent's good, and it's just enough resistance for you to know that you have to flick it out, and then it flicks out. Really nice. So I'm not a complaint. They did a bang up job on this thing. I think the design, everything about this knife is really awesome. I'm always a little bit annoyed. I don't know why. It's every time it happens, I know it's going to happen, and it just bothers me, is that the pivot just comes undone. And so I usually have to open this thing up, clean it out, Loctite it, just kind of pay attention to where the centering is, and then I'm good to go. So, and this blue micarta, isn't this nice? Micarta spacer there. Deep carry tip up pocket clip, reversible. Very, very nice. Ceramic ball bearings, which I'm imagining is why this thing the action is just beautiful on this thing. The action is insane. Really, really nice. Overall, just a winner. The one thing I'll say, actually there are two cons to this baby. First is I've noted this clip is, though it's good. I mean, it's deep, and I do appreciate how it's placed and how deep it is. It's weak. The steel is weak, and I have bent this out very, very easily. If I'm wearing it in my pocket and I just catch on something, this thing will just bend right out. So be careful about that. It's just something to be aware of. And the other thing I'll say is this lock. So liner lock, as you can see, I am not convinced that that's the best liner lock in the way that it's capturing in there. I think it could go in a little bit more for my preference. And I'll say too, this is not unique to Petrified Fish, but liner locks liner locks are not bad, but you have to always remember with liner locks is if you grip this thing in just the right way, you can disengage that lock, especially if you're a righty, because if I like hammer grip this, and I don't know if I'm gonna do it right now. Of course I'm not going to because the camera's on, but I have gripped this thing in just the right way and tested the lock, and I've actually disengaged the lock just by holding it. There, you see? I probably won't be able to do that again, but it's like I almost have to try and do it right now, of course. There, you see? Hold on. Yeah. Now it just disengaged. So it's not that's just the way it goes with a liner lock. If this thing was captured a little bit better, maybe that would mitigate the problem. You know, but that's also just the nature of the beast with liner locks. I'm not like super duper concerned about it because I'm not like a tactical knife user. I mean, I God forbid would never have to use this for anything like that. So I'm not really tactically focused, but I will say the size of the knife and the design of the knife make it seem like it could be a harder use knife. So even though I'm not planning on using this thing for any self-defense purposes, again, God willing, I could envision using it for just a harder type task of doing something where I have to grip it harder. If I'm whittling or outside in the woods or something like that, or like doing food prep while camping, or just in the kitchen. Sometimes I'll open this thing up, and usually I'm holding it in like side holding in the kitchen. I'll work with like slicing steak or doing an apple or whatever it is I have to do. And in those situations, I'm not going to disengage the lock. But again, I have to say, I think about it. Whenever I pick this knife up and I use it, I'm just reminded that this lock can easily disengage. And also in the saber grip, again, it's not like I use the saber grip a lot, but if I did, you see that? It just came undone. Like the way that you grip it, it can just come apart. So it's just something to be aware of. I'm not necessarily complaining. I'm just saying it's just something to keep an eye on. It also makes you appreciate a brand like Cold Steel or some other companies where, yeah, like it might not be as smooth, silky smooth to drop close this thing, or even to flick it open for that matter. But like that lock is really secure, like a triad lock or something on a Cold Steel. So it's just, again, this isn't trying to be a Cold Steel. So I'm not trying to bash Petrified Fish, but it is something to keep in mind. Maybe that's a topic for another video, is like the pros and cons of locks, and like what do you look for in a knife? Like, and I guess it's ultimately subjective depending on what you want. But the clear advantage of something like this liner lock is this: it's very fidgety. You can really just, you could use it. It's like a light duty knife, and beautiful, designed really well, priced really well too. And it performs well. It's just that the lock is, not as maybe dependable or reliable as you would imagine. I didn't show on the Pyle side here. This is kind of cool branding. So V is for Victor, and it is if you can see that, I think it says PFP03. Show you here. I thought that was like really neat. And it's K110 steel, which is basically D2. Isn't that cool branding? I mean, they don't, other than the pivot itself for Petrified Fish, it doesn't brand anything. And that V there for Victor with the steel and the model number in the V like that, I just thought that was like super well done. So just a really cool design. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say with Petrified Fish, is like, they're not afraid to come out with really cool designs. I mean, the execution of the handle here, the micarta scales are gorgeous. This blade is seriously something else with the groove in there to finger flick it. It's nice. Front flipper tab works very well too. Obviously, you're not thumb studding this open. If you were a lefty, you can use this to open it as if it were a thumb stud there. Whereas as a righty, you really can't. There's nothing. But again, it's not that you're lacking options to open it, because you have the front flicker and you have the finger flick, so it's good to go. The clip is weak, that I'll say. But I mean, this knife is like $50, I think. And for micarta scales, nice steel, K110 steel or D2 steel, beautiful blade, lightweight. They milled out the liners inside, steel liners, to cut out on weight. They didn't have to do that. That's an added expense, if you can see in there. It's a relatively lightweight knife for the size. And it's a winner, man. I dig it. It's an exciting blade. So I just wanted to share it. I don't have that many Petrified Fishes, but I just wanted to show this one off. I've been carrying this one more. I haven't hard used it, as I've used it, but I don't hard use it, partly for reasons that I mentioned. But it's a great light duty knife, man. You can use it for anything. And who knows? I mean, you could probably flex this thing into hard use if you were outside or doing work in the yard or whatever like that. I would just be careful. Again, be careful with that liner lock. It's not the most secure way to use a big knife or a bigger knife. You know what I mean? Because you can get a solid grip on this thing. You could leverage this knife a lot, but with that lock, I don't know. So anyway, beautiful action, beautiful centering. It's a nice knife, I do have to say. I dig it. Do you guys have these? What do you think? I was torn between this color and the other colors they got, but I went with the blue. Denim micarta or whatever it is. Really nice. Anyway, hope you all are doing well. Super busy. I'm looking to make more videos soon. Sorry for the delay. As I've said in the past, work has been great, just super busy. The newness of the new job is kind of going away. So I'm going to be hopefully making more and more videos. But hope you all are doing well. And let me know if you have a Petrified Fish, Victor. And I'll catch you on the next one, guys. See you later.